Okay, well, now we have a very special guest, and we waited until you all came back to rejoin us, but your phone calls will be very welcome. A guy that's been a personal friend of mine forever, and he's been ringing Nightline long before Bruce and Phil were ever heard of. Good evening and welcome back, Brendan Scott.
Hello, Philip.
And we'll just get Ken to put up the fader on mic 4 instead of mic 3. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, and turn off mic 3. What a great start.
It's been a while since I've been in 3AW. Yes. I'm finding my feet.
It's been a while since Ken's operated mic 4.
What a pity you turned up at 382 Latrobe Street.
I did.
But, of course, you rang Alex from a very young boy, didn't you?
I was age 7 when I first phoned the Alex Kenworthy radio program.
Oh, and what inspired you to do that? What would a young boy be doing listening to Talkback Radio?
My father shift worked. He worked night shift, and this was a Friday night, and my mother used to listen to the radio, to talk radio. And in particular to Alex. And one night I was listening with her, which I often did, particularly on a Friday night. And I was, at the time, I was in the Australian Boys Choir, and we just thought it would be a nice thing. I'd phone up and start singing these songs for him. And the topic of the night, I think, was the price of fruit at the greengrocers or something.
Yeah.
And I think Alex was just so...
Interesting to see topics haven't changed much over 30 years.
No, that's more interesting than anything we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk about typewriter ribbons.
Exactly. And I think Alex was just pleased for the diversion of a young boy soprano singing these songs. So, So that's what started it all, and it became a regular thing, and I got to know Alex, and I got to know you and Bruce and Simon and Ken and everybody when the program transpired. And of course, my biggest break probably came with 3AW with the late Keith McGowan, and I just thought it was lovely when I walked into the building here tonight to see Keith's face on the front of the studio.
There's a studio dedicated to. And in fact, that's probably the very last time you were on air here was with Keith.
It was. In fact, the second last song that he ever played, just before Ness and Dormer, that he closed off with, was a song of mine called "Never Grow Old," and so I always carry that with great pride.
And of course, you were the featured star of all his Christmas parties over the years.
Well, not so much the featured star, but I was the organiser of them all, and I performed and
in reality, they were Brendan's parties, and Keith just rocked up.
Well, that's exactly. You won't know how true that is. And exactly, he would show up, and what it took to get him on the stage to talk to the people was extraordinary. He never wanted any part of that. He wanted to mingle, and he really didn't want to be the centre of attention, but of course he had to get up there and do it. But we would have wonderful people like Shirlene Clancy and Daryl Cotton and all these wonderful people who would come and do the shows for us.
And and Simon will echo my sentiments, he had such a strong personality that even though he's not with us, his spirit is still lingering, not only here but in your heart as well. A man like Keith McGowan is indestructible.
Well, the day after Keith passed away, I was contacted by Nick McCallum to appear on the Drive program, and I all of a sudden found myself talking about Keith in the past tense, which was just such a surreal experience for me, because he was so invincible. And I think, Simon, in particular, you and I had very similar relationship with Keith, in as much as we were the younger guys coming up, and we were influenced very much by what he did, and whether that was a good or a bad thing, I don't know. But.
I have to say, nightly, and I don't think I've mentioned this on air, but every night there is a little tradition that is carried out here to carry on a little bit of Keith McGowan in the building. Keith used to have a fantastic response to just one comment that callers would make. And so Adam, who panels for Sports Today, when he hands over at 8 o'clock to me to panel, because he works out of one studio, I work out of the other. He closes off his, I activate mine, and he comes in and says, "All good?" And I say, "Yep." And he says, "Have a good night." And I always use the Keith McGowan line. Don't tell me what to do. So that's our own little tribute to Keith McGowan.
Absolutely.
Every night at 8.
Okay, now a fond memory for me, because he could be very rough around the edges.
Oh, sure.
Our lovely friend Shirley Morgan, the widow of Russ Morgan, whom you had the pleasure of meeting.
I visited her home in Las Vegas.
You did, and of course Simon knew her well, and she was often a frequent visitor here to 3AW. And back in Bank Street, South Melbourne, one night, she happened to bump into Keith on the stairs. She had never met him before. He had never met her. And he arrived about 11 o'clock wearing shorts and, if I can be a bit crude, showing the plumber's crack.
Right.
Yes.
As he did. He was very overweight at the time. And she said, "Oh, good evening. How are you?" And she said, "I'm Shirley Morgan, the widow of Russ Morgan." And he was walking up the stairs. He said, "Do you want to know something, Shirley? I am." Can you picture it?
I can.
That was her introduction to Keith McGowan.
I saw it happen many times.
Beer belly and all.
I was just telling Ken out in the booth there that Nick McCallum tells a story of a morning when he was filling in for Neil where Keith didn't like what he had said on the air the morning before, and in those days, you know, you just pressed a button out the front at Bank Street, and whoever was in the studio would buzz you in, let you into the building. And Nick had forgotten his pass on this particular morning, and so he buzzed the thing and said, "Keith, can you let me in?" Well, because he didn't like it, he told him where to go.
And he told him to...
Right. And quite seriously did not let him in. Nick waited for somebody else to arrive at the building.
Exactly right.
That was his style.
Do you stay in touch with Angela?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and so do I, and so does Nicola Swift. And,
Yes.
And she's so close to us in so many ways. And of course...
She's an extraordinary lady, not to cut you off there, but she, you know, you and I were both there at the gathering we had for Keith very soon after he passed away down in Richmond there, and Angela spoke, and if you've ever seen a stronger woman in your life, it was extraordinary just to listen to her words.
Yes, we were at the Kingston Hotel, and then she spoke again at a farewell for Keith for 3AW's friends at Platform 28 a few nights later. Did you sing at his... Oh, well, there was no funeral.
There was no funeral.
No, he chose not to have one.
That's why we had the gathering at the pub.
Yeah.
He was unusual in so many ways, and that was, he was dead set against, in the event that he ever passed away,
That's right.
he did not want a funeral.
Yeah. Now, we're going to take a break.
Just before we do, if you've just tuned in, the voice you're hearing is Brendan Scott, long-time part of the 3AW overnight family.
I feel like I've come back home or something. It feels like old home.
Well,
the question I want to know is, why haven't you called in the last 3 years?
I've been sleeping at night because we get up very early in the morning these days. You know, I hear Andrew McLaren from 4 o'clock or something.
Oh, okay.
Not for much longer.
No.
But the point is, you've been a part of Nightline much longer than Bruce and Phil, and we'd love you to entertain us.
Successful too.
And talk about your new... Now, Brendan Scott, before you entertain us, you'll be proud to know I have a new song in my repertoire. When we went out and did all those appearances for Dick Wicks at different chemist shops in Mitcham and Gilmore Shoes and so on, it was always goody-goody, or I Love That Christmas Feeling.
That's right. I know we're successful for you, no doubt about that.
But would you, and you used to join in, we used to do them as duets. But will you give me an honest assessment if you hear my latest effort and really tell me what you'd give me out of 10 after you hear this? Beneath this snowy mantle, cold and clean, the unborn grass lies waiting for its coat to turn to green. The snowbird sings the song he always sings, and speaks to me of flowers that will bloom again in spring. When I was young, my heart was young then too. Anything that it would tell me, that's the thing that I would do. But now I feel such emptiness within, for the thing that I want most in life's the thing that I can't win. Spread your tiny wings and fly away, and take the snow back with you wherever it came from on that day. The one I love forever is untrue, and if I could, you know that I would fly away with you. The breeze along the river seems to say that it'll only break my heart again should I decide to stay. So little snowbird, take me with you when you go to that land of gentle breezes where the peaceful waters flow. Spread your tiny wings and fly away, and take the snow back with you where it came from on that day. The one I love forever is untrue, and if I could, you know that I would fly away with you. And if I could, you know that I would fly away with you. Okay, that's my latest. Now, I want you to be totally honest and rip me apart if you have to.
I love the backing track. I thought it was fantastic.
Slim Whitman. I think he was out of key. I think he was singing out of tune.
Somebody was, yeah, that's for
and
sure.
he was out of time as well.
I'd have to listen to it again. This song. Every night I sit here by my window, staring at the lone ride. How about the night we cried? Things like a lover's vow, things that we don't do now. Thinking about the things we used to do. I still can hear that jukebox softly playing, and the face I see each day belongs to you. Though there's not a single sound and there's nobody else around, well, it's just me thinking of the things we used to do. I'm thinking about things like a walk in the park, things like a kiss in the dark, things like a sailboat ride. How about the night we cried? Things like a lover's vow, things that we don't do now. Thinking about the things we used to do. And the heartaches are the friends I'm talking to. Well, I'm thinking about the things we used to do. Oh, yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Hey.
See, now that's music, Phil.
Yeah, obviously you've been taking lessons from me, Brendan.
I have all
I'm
these
very
years.
impressed. Now, why I invited you in, you were very kind to send me a new Christmas CD that you released, but there's another one on the shelf too called One Man Band.
One Man Band came out very recently, and a whole collection of songs that I've been, I do songs in my shows. I do performances pretty much every day, whether they be morning melodies shows at the various pubs, clubs, RSLs, whatever they happen to be, or private functions, or just whatever comes up. And I do these shows, which is a one-man show. I play several instruments and sing and tap dance and do all of those things. And songs come up, and all of a sudden, after a while, you get a collection of things that people like to hear, and we put those
and wonderful, Simon, a dedication to Keith McGowan
nice.
on the album One Man Band. Where can we buy your CDs?
Well, mostly they're available still through mail order, and they're $25. This is a One Man Band is a 15-track album. They're $25, and they're available through Post Office Box 651. Noble Park 3174. So
I'll write that down. People will ring up later if they forget. Box 651 Noble Park and the postcode
3174.
3174.
Yep, $25. Check or money order for Brendan Scott,
including postage.
Correct. And also,
will you sign those?
I will do that. And also, I'm sure I could have some sent down to our friend Ken down at Katie's Cards and Records down in Mount Waverley. There, who is a gentleman at store that Keith introduced us all to all those years ago.
Well, remember, Keith is on our mind all the time.
That's right.
I see your gigs here, and you've got so much coming up in the next 6 months. Your flat chat, including next Wednesday, you'll be at Hotel 520 in Tarneet. At 11 a.m, that's probably Morning Melodies.
Morning Melodies Australia Day show down there.
And then Friday the 23rd of the Springvale RSL. That's a great venue.
It is a good venue, and they're nighttime ones, so people come along, they have a dance or they have a meal, or it's not strictly a floor show, but we're playing music all night.
Like Mary Murphy and I did at Noble Park.
That's right, where you made her pay for everything because you didn't...
I forgot to bring my wallet.
That's right, yeah.
You have a list of gigs here that Dennis Walter would kill for.
Well, you see, I'd much rather, sit here in afternoons and be on the radio, so we can swap if you like.
Yeah, you've done a lot of radio too, community radio over the years.
Absolutely, yeah.
Much television around? Are there any opportunities these days?
Not these days, unless you go on one of the, the talent shows, the competition shows.
No, you're too good for that. You're a pro.
Well, you don't get anywhere unless you look good. It doesn't really matter what you sing like. So no, I mean, I used to do telethons and kids. Remember the Early Bird show? I used to do that a lot with Marty Monster.
Oh yeah,
and all of those things. So, but not so much these days.
Now, give us a website where people can check out your gigs through the year, please.
It's www.brendanscott.com.au.
Yeah, easy.
It's currently being fixed. There's somebody on the job who's fixing up the website, so we're going to have all of that information on there very soon. It's not current at the moment, but it will be. And also, there's a Facebook, an an official Facebook page where I do post all of the gig guide information.
I just put a link to your website on our Facebook page, but I'll put a link to your Facebook page on our Facebook page.
Yes, it gets very complex, but it is there, so we'll put those up there.
And maybe in the commercial break, Ken will take a photo of us for our own Facebook page.
Terrific.
Hey, can we ask you to do another song for us? Will you be generous enough to give us another song?
What about the title track?
Oh, yes, a one-man band.
One-man band. Leo, say a song. Goes like, well, everybody knows in Ladbroke Grove you have to leap across the street. You can lose your life under a taxi cab. You gotta have eyes in your feet. You find a soft corner and you sit right down. Take up your guitar and play. But then the lawman comes and says, move along, so you move along all day. I'm a one-man band. Nobody knows nor understands. Is there anybody out there wanna lend me a hand to my one-man band? And oh, look at the rain falling. Oh, look at it rain. Yeah, look at it rain. Well, nobody sees the little minstrel boy while he's singing his song of woe. Nobody sees him coming. Nobody sees him go. So hey there, mister, don't you look so sad. Don't lend to my one-man band. Oh, let's sway together one more time now. I'm a one-man band. Nobody knows nor understands. Is there anybody out there wanna lend me a hand to my one-man band? I'm a one-man band. I'm a one-man band. I'm a one-man band.
Oh, you haven't lost it. In fact, I want to know why Simon Owens, during your performance, was so animated, and when my song came on, he was reaching for the bucket.
I don't know. We'll talk about it in the break.
Because I'm clearly a man of taste.
Brendan, it's so nice to see you.
I'm just hoping that Gigi's listening. Gigi, attention, please. We'd love those up on the Facebook page as well, please.
Yeah, and take care and give my best to your mum, Julie, and
Thank
to
you, Philip.
Sandra and all your family.
Yeah, great
We
to
miss
see
your
you.
dad, Keith, but
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure a lot of your shows are in memory of your
Absolutely.
very precious father. And may you go on to even bigger and better things in the future.
Well, I appreciate the invitation to come and see you. Thank you. Hope we do it again.
Been such a buzz for so many people.
Thank you.
Brendan Scott.